There are moments when you know you're just not at your best. It might be you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, angry, or you just can't stop thinking about something. Maybe someone said something that hurt you, or something went wrong, or you just woke up feeling completely off, right? And those are usually the moments when you're just not sure how to get yourself out of that hole. You might be asking yourself, what do I do? But here's the problem. When you're feeling so low or stuck or overwhelmed, that might be a really inefficient time to try to figure it all out, right? Because when you're emotionally flooded, your perspective gets smaller. You have fewer options available to you, and the things you know would probably help you can suddenly become really hard to remember or even overwhelming, right? Like the smallest steps feel like too much in those moments. So instead of waiting until you're in that state to figure out what to do, I recommend deciding ahead of time. And so today I'm going to help you build what I call your Oiaré 5x5 emergency kit. Okay? Those are 5 things you can do in 5 minutes or less to help yourself shift your state in those moments. Okay? Not fix the problem, not force yourself to feel good, not ignore the emotions that are coming up, but just help yourself move one level higher so you can see a little more clearly. And I want to actually build yours with me today. Okay? So grab a pen and a piece of paper or open the notes app on your phone, whatever is easier for you. Because by the end of this video, you're going to have something you can pull out the next time you find yourself in one of these moments. And it's going to be super helpful to get you elevated. All right, before we build it, I want to show you why this matters. In Oiaré, I talk about 3 general levels of elevation. At the bottom is what I call the valley. And the valley is where we tend to experience things like overwhelm, reactivity, tunnel vision. Okay? You know that feeling. Something happens and suddenly it feels enormous. You can't stop thinking about it here. You might want to, send that text or fire off an email or quit or give up, snap at someone, shut down, or make some big decision because you desperately want that discomfort to stop. But the important thing to understand is that the problem hasn't necessarily gotten bigger, okay? Your perspective has gotten smaller. And when we're in highly activated states, we don't have access to the same range of perspective and possibilities that we do when we're calmer. That's why something that feels completely unmanageable at 11 at night can sometimes look very different the next morning. The circumstances may have not changed, but your elevation did. Okay. Next step, the horizon. That's the middle of this graphic. At the horizon level, there's more awareness, more calm, more options. You don't necessarily feel amazing, and that's important because I don't want you to think the goal of emotional regulation is to immediately transport yourself from, let's say, everything is falling apart to, gosh, life is wonderful, right? That's not realistic. Sometimes we just need to get from the valley to the horizon, just one level, enough space to think, okay, what is actually happening here? What do I need? What are my options? What do I want to do next? And that's exactly what your 5x5 is designed to help you do. There's a sentence at the bottom of this graphic that I really want you to remember. Don't solve, elevate. Okay? Because when we're in the valley, our instinct is often to solve whatever put us there. But sometimes the first problem to solve isn't the situation. It's the state we're trying to solve it from. So when you notice yourself spiraling, reacting, shutting down, I want you to experiment with not immediately asking, how do I fix this? Instead, ask, what could help me gain one level of elevation? That's a much smaller assignment, especially in those moments when everything feels so difficult. And that's where the 5x5 comes in. Okay, let's build your 5x5. So your 5x5 is going to contain 5 quick ways to gain one level of elevation. And I've divided them into 5 categories: move, breathe, soothe, create, and connect. Now, here's the important part. I'm going to give you ideas for each category, but I'm not building your emergency kit, okay? You got to do that. Something can be scientifically wonderful, recommended by every expert on the planet, and still not be something that you're actually going to do when you're upset. So your 5x5 needs to contain things that work for you. Okay, so let's build it. On top of the paper, write my 5x5 emergency kit. And underneath it, write these 5 words: move, breathe, soothe, create, connect. Leave some space next to each one. Okay, our first category is move. When you're stuck in your head, sometimes one of the fastest ways to change your state is through your body. This doesn't mean go work out for an hour, okay? Remember our rule, 5 minutes or less. You could do a quick walk, stretch, quick dance, shake out your arms and legs, walk up and down your stairs, step outside and walk around the block, even around your house, go to the mailbox, right? The question I want you to answer is, what kind of movement reliably makes me feel even slightly different afterward? Not perfect, different, okay? For me, the key here is choosing something easy enough that you could actually do it on a bad day. So don't write exercise or go for a 5-mile hike. That's too big and too much. Write the actual action. Walk outside for 5 minutes. Stretch out on the floor. Okay? Put on one song and dance, or even more specifically, pick the song that moves you, right? Choose yours now and then write it next to the move part on your paper. All right, good. That's number 1. Okay, number 2 is breathe. Your breathe is one of the few tools you carry, because it's your breath, right? With you everywhere. You don't need equipment. You don't need another person. You don't even need to leave the room. Your breathing option could be slow breathing, long exhales, box breathing, a physiological sigh even. Whatever breathing practice you found helps your body slow down. And again, don't choose the one you think you're supposed to choose, okay? Choose the one you're actually willing to use. Maybe yours is simply 5 slow breaths with a longer exhale, okay? That's enough. Your 5x5 isn't a performance, it's an interruption, okay? So write your breathing practice next to breathe. Okay, now you have 2 done, okay? Let's move on to the next one, soothe, okay? So this one is about your senses and what helps your environment communicate, especially communicate what can soften a little, okay? Maybe it's putting on a particular song, listening to rain or river sounds, standing outside in the sunshine, holding a warm drink, or even a cold drink, taking a warm shower, looking at something beautiful. Maybe there's a certain chair or furniture in your house where your body seems to exhale the moment you sit down, okay? We often underestimate how much our environment affects our internal state. So think about this. What reliably makes your senses feel calmer? And make this very specific too, okay? Don't just write music or sound. Put on my calming playlist, or even write down the exact song. Remember, we're removing decisions. We're trying to make this very easy in those moments, okay? You're creating this for a future version of you who may not have a lot of bandwidth available. So choose your soothing practice. Write it down. All right, that's 3 done. Let's move on to number 4, which is create. You notice on my 5x5, this one is non-negotiable, okay? I want some form of creativity in your emergency kit. And before, you're thinking, well, you're not creative, or you don't know how to make something good, that's okay, okay? Just do something, create. Journal, sketch, draw, play an instrument, take photographs, cook something, write something, scribble all over a piece of paper, okay? Creativity can give everything swirling around inside of you something else to go, somewhere else to go, okay? And I think this is one of the tools we overlook most often. We're constantly consuming, scrolling, watching, reading, okay, listening, taking more and more information in. Sometimes what we need is the opposite direction. We need something to actually come out of us, something to be created. And whatever you create does not need to be useful. Nobody needs to see it. Nobody needs to like it. It doesn't need to become anything, okay? It's just there to access your creativity. So for 5 minutes, make instead of consume. That's the goal, okay? So what could that look like for you? So write your answer next to the create part on your page. Okay, now you have 4. So finally, let's go to number 5, connect. Because sometimes the thing that changes our state isn't something we might do alone, okay? It's remembering that we're not alone. Maybe your connect option is texting a friend or calling someone, going to a grocery store and giving someone a compliment, sitting with your dog or cat, a pet, stepping outside into nature, praying, or simply doing something kind for another person. Connection has a way of widening the world again when our internal world has gotten very small, okay? But I want to make this one very specific too. Don't write, call a friend. Write who could you actually call or text. Put their name in your emergency kit. It's an emergency kit for a reason, right? You can even decide what you say. Maybe it's, I'm having a rough moment. Do you have 5 minutes? It's much easier to use than trying to figure out who to contact or what to say when you're already overwhelmed. So choose your connection practice right now. Write it down on your piece of paper. All right, and now you have your 5x5, okay? Look at what you just built, okay? Take a look at this list. You now have 5 options. 1 way to move your body, 1 way to use your breath, 1 way to soothe your senses, 1 way to open your mind through creativity, and 1 way to remember you're not alone. And here's something very important. You do not have to do all 5, okay? You're more than welcome to, but you do not have to do all 5. This is not a checklist. You don't get extra credit for completing your entire emergency kit. These are 5 doors, okay? Treat them as such. When you find yourself in the valley, sometimes you just need to open one of these doors. Maybe walk for 5 minutes, take 5 slow breaths, put on that song, okay? Grab that journal, send the text, 1 step, that's it. Because remember what we're trying to do here, okay? We're not trying to reach highest elevation. We're trying to gain 1 level. Okay, now I want you to do 1 final thing. Decide where this list is going to live. Because an emergency kit you can't find isn't particularly useful, right? You could put it in the notes app on your phone. Take a picture of it if you did a visual, okay? If you did it by hand, I mean. Put it on your desk. Put it inside your journal. Put it by the side of your mirror if that's helpful. Or on top, on your refrigerator. Whatever will make it easy for you to access it, okay? Just put it somewhere you'll actually encounter it and remember that it's there for you until you get very used to accessing it. Maybe even label it something like open when I'm in the valley or when I'm feeling down or when I'm overwhelmed, because there's a really important principle here. Build the tool when you can see clearly so you don't have to invent it when you can't, right? So I don't want you to reserve this only for huge emotional moments either. Use it when you notice the beginning of the descent. Okay? Many of us can feel that coming, right? When you're, let's say, rereading that text from someone for the fifth time, when your thoughts start speeding up, when you're getting increasingly irritated, or when you notice yourself doom scrolling, right? Or reaching for that snack, when you suddenly want to abandon something that maybe mattered to you yesterday, when your world starts getting smaller, that's your cue. You don't need to diagnose yourself. You don't need to analyze why you're there. You can simply say, I'm in the valley right now, and that's okay. I don't need to solve this from here. And then you open your 5x5 emergency kit, choose one item that sounds best to you at that point, and give yourself 5 minutes. Okay, then look again. There will be moments in life, right, when you lose strength or perspective, and that's part of being human. The goal isn't to live permanently at high elevation. The goal is to recognize where you are and know how to help yourself move. And that's what you created today. 5 ways back to a little more space, a little more perspective, a little more strength, few more options, okay? And maybe the circumstances haven't changed at all in that moment, but now you have. And from that slightly higher place, you get to decide what happens next because you see so many more options. So the next time you find yourself in the valley, remember, don't solve, elevate, okay? 5 things, 5 minutes, one level at a time. And once you can see a little more clearly, choose your direction from there. Remember, live by direction, not by reaction.